Hello everyone, I'm CinnamonToastKen.
And I'm Buff Pro.
And today we're going to learn what happens to predators in prison. We're checking out the infographic show, and they recently put up a video that will hopefully explain exactly that with cartoons. And hopefully don't get claimed. We'll see how it goes.
In the dimly lit cell, a naked prisoner lies motionless on the floor. Around him, a gruesome mix of blood, shattered skull fragments, and, horrifyingly, a spoon. Lodged in a place no spoon should ever be. The broken lump of flesh and bones on the floor was once a child predator.
Wow. So that's the whole explanation right there in 30 seconds. Wow. They get bashed on the head and get spooned. Good. That spoon didn't deserve that, though.
This isn't a scene from a horror movie. It is a real, true story, and perhaps one of the most grisliest incidents ever recorded within prison walls.
Oh, this is like a single incident that was recorded, I guess. The way that I've always heard it explained to like different people is that like everybody knows that child predators get off pretty easy.
Yeah.
And so the old justice system inside the prison takes care of it.
Call that karma.
But a lot of times these guys don't even like make it all the way to like prison. They just go to like the county jail for like a week and then they get let go or something.
Yeah, they have to get put on a list or something, but
yeah, like pay your fine, get put on a list, stay away from schools, and then they do it again. And they're like, oh, gasp, a reoffender. Oh, if only we wouldn't have enabled this kind of behavior. Oh.
But before we dive further into this nightmare scenario, let's pull back the curtain on life inside for the predators.
Hey, karma. There you go. Look at you. Yeah.
Karma.
If you're locked up for preying on children, you are not just unpopular, you are marked. Chomos, chesters, kitty fiddlers, tree jumpers, short eyes, rippers, skinners, rock spiders, and nonces.
That's a lot of names. I thought the Chomos, I thought that was from Cyberpunk.
No!
Something like that? Maybe it's not that. Go around playing Cyberpunk 2077 like, yo, Chomo, and like, yeah, what's up? Wait a minute. Whoa.
how dare you?
You did go to the Ripper, to get your upgrades.
Across state prisons, local jails, and federal facilities, nearly 1.9 million people are behind bars in 2024.
Dang.
That's 583 per 100,000.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of people.
Wow.
And I guess that's whenever you get to the like people talking about like prisons and being like they're bad because all these innocent people and there's so many people and all that. And at the same time, it's like a lot of people that are in there, they went through the system and were found guilty.
Yeah.
Still, yeah, it is. When you just look at like a flat number like that, you're like, golly.
But a Johns Hopkins University study in 2021 said there were around 127,000 inmates in the U.S. serving time in state prisons for sex offenses involving children.
Jeez! That number is 127,000. Too high!
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
So there's like that many in there. I mean, I guess spread across all the different places. I think they start their own gang. Yeah, it's us, the kitty fiddlers.
The chesters.
What you gonna do, And then they get shanked in the shower. They got our boss, big tree jumper. No. I wonder how they like even feel about each other. Like if they're like, oh, he's in there for for preying on kids. He's like, ew. So you're here for that too.
Yeah, but you did.
You did it. I don't know. It's got me wondering about that dynamic if they're in there, or if they actually do like try to band together. Like, hey man, you too? Wow, brother.
I don't know, because in the Chris Hansen videos, right, they're all like, people like me are despicable.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I hate people like me.
I will never do it again, ever. Please let me go. And they send to jail anyway. I wonder if they keep that same energy when they're there.
Mm-hmm.
No, I bet the guy, like, even in the cell with him, is got to be like, no, they're going to let me in with you.
Probably, right, yeah. Ooh.
You could have the bottom bunk. Go ahead, friend. Wakes up in the middle of the night. Got a pillow. Oh.
What this tells us is that U.S. prisons are crawling with sexual predators. The question is,
And furries, apparently. What just happened there? I'm a tiger. My fursona is a bear.
Now I'm an animorph.
as a former prisoner wrote online, sex offenders, if they're stupid enough to go into a mainline yard, will get got. It almost always is never right away. They might lead the offender to a false sense of security. When you're
That's the way you got to do it, man. You gotta let them know, like, you feel safe. let your guard down than to do with the Big Macs, you know.
To do with the Big Mac.
He gives out the hoo-hoo!
Whatever you do, don't go bench press.
Yeah, bro, I'll spot you.
When you're inducted into a U.S. prison, you have an interview and you'll be asked if there's a reason you can't get placed in the general population. Being a chomo is a hell of a good reason if you don't want to get got.
I'm sure it's happened. I don't know of any cases, but I'm sure like they're giving their interviews like, why should we put you in protective custody? Well, you know, I went on Chris Hansen's show and da-da-da, and they're like, denied. We got another one, boys. Send him to the yard. Also in protective custody, you'll be in there with P. Diddy and who that guy is that scammed people out of billions of dollars of cryptocurrency.
Logan Paul? Oh. Wrong guy.
Good one, good one.
Now let's take a look at the case of John Gagan, a former Roman Catholic priest who left over 150 boys suffering from decades of trauma.
Oh, is this like when everyone heard, what was this, like early 2000s or something like that, when all this got real big, the Catholic Church?
Yeah.
He ended up in Sousa Baranowski Correctional Center in Massachusetts. Even though he was in PC, a fellow prisoner named Joseph Lee Druce stomped his face in.
Stomped his face in.
Wow. And I bet there's probably prisoners who are just like, they think they're getting away in PC. Sir, I need PC. You know, like going in to try to serve some justice.
Well, I feel like it's fairly common knowledge. There's like a whole like, you know, I'll call it a social system, I guess, what's inside the prison. Like some prisoners got favor with some guards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess as long as it don't come back on them, the guards, you know, they can like accurately show the paperwork of how it's not their fault. Then they're probably like, yeah, you know, you do me a favor, you know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, you deal with these guys, and go deal with this guy for me, you know. Say no more, Burger Man.
I love seeing that guy on lunch break.
I don't know if anybody knows what I'm referring to. It's like that old Adam Sandler movie where Terry Crews.
Longest Yard.
Yeah, The Longest Yard. Terry Crews has like all the Big Mac, or what's it, McDonald's? I forget what he's got.
Cheeseburger Man.
Yeah, Cheeseburger Man. I wonder how he got to him too. He's like, Father, I have sinned. I need to make a confessional. He's like, oh, my child, come on in. You're a little old for me, but tell me your sins. Because it's just old Catholic custom, you know, because you know, Catholics and like royalty used to work together. And so why else would they get people in power to tell them their dirty laundry so that they can blackmail them? But it was all to like, you know, to forgive them for their sins. I feel like the Catholic Church was PDDing people back in the day. Like as far as like blackmail, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, if you're Catholic, you're like, no, Ken, that's completely wrong. It says here. But I mean, if I was in charge of like the church and powerful and was like, had my hand.
That's how you become powerful. Right?
Yeah. And you had your hand in like the kingdom politics. I was like, what better way to keep people in check? They tell you what they've been doing. You decide if you want to excommunicate them or not, you know? It's great.
Druce was a killer who went to prison and said he would make it his life's work to hunt predators. These were the men who reminded him of the people who abused him when he was a child. He was driven to murder when he heard Gagan share stories of his predatory past. Still, a murder in PC is unlikely, since if a prisoner is on parole, they might not want to ruin their chances of getting out. It's more likely a lifer would commit the attack, but there'd be a suspicion if a lifer asked to move to PC. Being an
Aha! There we go.
Yeah,
See?
covered it. Okay, so this dude, that was his life. He's going in jail, and he had been abused, and he's like, every dude I find. It's like that, have you ever seen that interview with that one dude? Yes, this dude right here. Yeah, this guy. Have you seen this?
No.
You wish to plead to murder in the second. Guilty? Yes, sir.
We're in Saginaw, Michigan.
So this guy killed another inmate, and they bring him in, and he's like, so, you know, did you do it? And he's like, yeah, sure did. And yeah, I'll just play it for you.
Found out that he was in prison for child molestation. That night he was trying to justify why he did it, and I just told him to be quiet, and he would have to leave in the morning to find a new cell. But he continued to talk about it and try to justify it, so hit him in his face a few times, and when he fell, I wrapped a cord around his neck, and I took his life.
Like dude just goes in, he's like, yeah, absolutely I did it.
Wow.
The judge is like, God dang.
Since this all happened, it's kind of been people think I'm some kind of hero when I'm actually not. I just, did what I thought was best in the time that I was given. I feel bad for maybe the families, his family or something, but as far as remorse towards him, no.
Dude's just like,
Wow.
no.
And I want to make it quite clear that I didn't judge him. I know God is the only judge we have. I just set the appointment up.
Oh, wow.
It's just like he ain't gonna judge. Only God can judge him. He's just setting up the appointment.
Wow. I'm just curious, like, as a judge in that position, I mean, you still have to be like, okay,
The law is still the law.
yeah,
you know?
you murdered wrong. But then I wonder if he's like walking off, he's like high five, like I don't know.
Yeah, there's
Ah.
probably. I mean, everyone was like, when this came out, was like, yeah, woo. But the judge still has to
Yeah.
be like, all right, well,
This is the law.
you killed a man who was incarcerated or already serving his time, so
Yeah.
you're staying in. I'll never know what happened to that guy. I guess I'm sure he's still in prison.
Attacked is not the only reason why PC isn't a very nice place to be for a convicted Chester. You'll likely be spending 22 to 23 hours a day in your cell. If you go out to the yard, it might just be you alone or in a small group. When you shower, it'll be you alone. You'll also likely not be able to work, and you can forget about group educational classes.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, they're actually going through all of it. So yeah, you get into protective custody and you're just in your cell.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess people are like, oh man, I'm away from everyone. Oh, that'd be great. But then you sit in that one tiny little cell for
You don't talk to nobody.
years.
Wow.
Yeah.
23 hours a day. That's nuts.
So I got 1 hour, I guess, so you can like go eat or something.
Eat
or,
in
or
commissary, I
they
guess.
bring it to you. I don't know. Yeah.
Ugh.
When you're the new guy in prison, quite often someone will come into your cell and demand to see your papers. If you don't have papers, it's quite easy to find out what you've done, since sentencing information is usually available online. Also, prison officers might just let it slip,
Yeah.
since people who hurt women and kids aren't exactly high on the popularity list.
Yeah. I didn't know they had like actual papers while they're in there. I figured you just didn't have anything. It's not like they also have internet access and like that's how they get on these like websites of dating and stuff.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
pen
yeah.
pals and stuff, so they can go look you up. But probably most likely it's like the guards are like, hey, this guy, it just gets dropped to one dude, and then before, not even like an hour later, everybody in jail knows.
Yeah.
A prisoner might make it through their sentence, but only if they keep their past buried. No bragging, no slip-ups. It's also quite common to extort them, making them
Okay. Maybe it's kind of the case that like the clip that we watched, like the guy was like talking about it, and it's like, don't tell me about it. Keep your
Yeah.
mouth shut.
Stop justifying it, buddy.
Justify it. Don't brag about it. Don't. You got some money. You pay some people so you can stay alive. That pressure. Whew. The anxiety of every day, like another day. Is he gonna make it through it? Oh, if only I knew it was gonna be Chris Hansen. I knew he was gonna be there. Why did I do it anyway? Well, if they even make it that far, unless they're like that one dude that got he stayed in jail for like a week and they let him go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The former British prisoner who did 7 years in an Arizona prison said the gangs adhered to a KOS system, kill on sight, for chomos. That same guy says guards will often ignore horrific beatings, or at least when they weren't doing the beating themselves.
I guess I imagine like almost like a TV show, like the prison guards just being like, another day of work. All right. What drama can we stir up today, boys? What we got going on today?
Should we drop the Chomo bomb today? It's like, I don't know, man. It's kind of, we got a good lineup already.
So we got the two groups that are already kind of beefing. We need to calm that down. Throw them the chomo. Yeah.
As a group of inmates beat a software engineer named John Derek Chamberlain to death. He was guilty of having sketchy content on his computer. He was murdered over what the courts ruled a misdemeanor. Now they're doing sentences ranging from 15 years to life. They killed a guy for a lie and in the process ruined their own lives.
Well, there's risk to it.
There's
Murder is murder, and it's bad.
I don't know. Just from what little we know about it, these guys might still be like, good job. We got him.
A way to avoid a deadly confrontation is to get yourself put in administrative segregation, ADSEG. ADSEG drives you up the wall due to the sheer loneliness. As a former long-term ADSEG prisoner once said, try locking yourself in a small bathroom and stay in there for half the day. Now imagine how that would feel for 10 years.
Well, that's even gonna be like worse, like even nowadays, because because like the internet and your phone is like we have this window of information we can always look at. It's like you just whenever you're sitting down not doing anything, you immediately like pull your phone out and start like looking at stuff, right? So like your brain is always engaged. And so then you go from that and you go into like a room where you're just sitting there with nothing.
Wow.
People can't even go to the toilet without their phones, you know? Like what are they how are they gonna survive that? I don't know why my train of thought was like, dang, we're prepared for this. We grew up in the 90s.
I said, here we go.
It's like, can you survive in a room alone? Yes, I can, actually. I mean, it'd still be rough, but it'd be easier for me than for someone that grew up past the year 2000.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
With no radio and no TV, it's you and 4 bare walls. No windows, no bars on the door to look through, just you and your mind. Maybe a book to read if you're lucky. They don't even allow you to keep your mattress to lie on during the day.
Dang.
You don't get to keep your mattress? I mean, that's like how you'd pass the time. It's just laying around.
In the UK, chomo intolerance is just as strict as it is in the US. Yet the most brutal stories we found come from England. In 2012, a 33-year-old male prisoner in Durham prison was described by a psychiatrist as a remorseless, callous psychopath who harbors cannibalistic urges.
He ate him. Did he eat him?
I've ate 7 chomos.
Are they talking about Hannibal Lecter? Who is this?
Like, who is this guy?
This young man had been sentenced in 2011 for predatory actions involving a 13-year-old girl. Once he was in the cell, the 2 men proceeded to hold him down and, amongst other things, slice him up with a razor blade. When asked later why they chose this particular man when they had scores of other predators to choose from, one of them said they just fancied doing it.
Well, I'm a psychopathic cannibal. I just kind of wanted to do it, you know?
At least he stayed true to his character.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's the
Yikes.
child predator, I guess. I don't know what to say with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
The perpetrators are not usually heroes intent to clean up society, but maniacs who just want an excuse to keep hurting people. The older guy in this attack was serving...
Oh man, yeah. I guess that's a good point too. Like, sure, there's like the heroes in there that, you know, are doing the right thing, but it's also just an excuse for like the actual like super violent crazy dudes that haven't been, you know, put away like all the way yet, just to get you and it kind of be okay. Ugh. I mean, God.
It should be even more of a deterrent.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. It's like I have 2 minds like, oh, that's awful. Wow, geez, that shouldn't happen. But I'm like, wait a minute. Maybe people just shouldn't do this and they go to jail for it. Yeah. Deter them, please.
Many of the men who hurt predators in prison are doing it because someone hurt them when they were young. Statistics show us that the rates of childhood abuse, both physical and sexual, are higher among prisoners than on the outside.
And then the people showing up to the stings being like, oh, she invited me over. Oh, ain't my fault.
Right.
They're out here creating future prisoners, potentially. You know, yeah, it's like, I don't know. All the people that are always like, oh, it don't hurt them. Especially if it's like a young man and like their teacher or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, it's good for him, you know. Then you fast forward 15 years and he's abusing women in prison, and yeah, it's just like, I don't know.
This brings us to Robert Maudsley, a man often called Britain's scariest prisoner. In 1974, he murdered a man who'd shown him photos of children he'd hurt. In 1977, he tortured a fellow patient for 9 hours, intermittently sticking the man's bloodied head to the window to show the staff what he was doing. When the staff finally opened the door, an officer said the victim's head had been, quote, cracked open like a boiled egg.
Oh my gosh, dude. They say he was like putting blood on the window to let him know what he was doing. Like, don't you come in here. And they're all like, ah.
He was like smearing his face on it. Like, yo, hey guys, I'm doing this.
Just imagine the staff being there. Like, I think it's like one of those situations, maybe, to where they're like, oh, he's got John in there. Oh, yeah. Screw John. I ain't cleaning that up, man. Come on.
I'm calling in tomorrow.
Too dangerous for the hospital, Maudsley was sent to Wakefield Prison, aka Monster Mansion, a place infamous for sexual predators. Suffice it to say, given
They just gave this man food?
This guy's got so many brains eating it.
Well, I mean, they actually got to, right?
I'm saying, like, this whole thing is like, of always 2 minds. There's like what is the right lawful thing to do? And then they're like, the people are just trying to get at predators, you know?
Yeah.
You got this guy who obviously is insane, and it's like, his last 2 victims while he was incarcerated were both child predators. Let's send them to where all the child predators are. They have the best security. I mean,
They got the phone call like, oh, you guys are getting overpopulated? No problem.
we're sending the brain eater.
We're sending them in, baby.
Golly.
In 1978, he took his French teacher, a convicted predator, to his cell, where he strangled him and stabbed him to death. You probably already guessed Maudsley himself was an abused child. This was revenge. He walked into a guy's cell, locked the door, and proceeded to hack at him with a knife.
He's just going around. Where are the guards? That's what I'm saying, dude. He's cleaning up in here. History's so interesting. There's so many freaking crazy cases. You look at like the current news and like, you know, everything's like, oh, the world's ending. Oh, terror, you know, tariffs and all this stuff. But then just like throughout history, there's so many violent things that have happened.
Yeah.
Like I am a firm believer that like we are one of the best, like, you know, the product of all of humanity. Like we're the most productive. We've got access to so many things, like and things could be better, of course, obviously. But like just our access to information so fast makes it seem like so much more overbearing than like, you know, back in like the 90s or even before that, to where like you would just see your local news and you'd be like, oh, this thing happened, and then like you'd watch NBC and it'd show you like the world news for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But now you open your phone and you're on Twitter or whatever, and it's like, oh, everything's horrible, everyone's dying. Anyway, just to say that, not that things are bad still, but
yeah.
I think they've always been bad, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I think they've always been bad, and just not everyone knew about it. Anyway, so will they go stop it? How many more people is he going to kill if they stop him?
He calmly walked down the hallway as prisoners parted like the Red Sea.
They knew. They knew.
Went to the staff office and informed the guards that they should expect 2 fewer men at roll call that night. Too dangerous even for prison, he was later moved to the basement, where he's still rotting away to this day.
Still there. I went and talked to the guards like, hey, 2 less tonight. I wonder if they're, they didn't finish that story. Did they like arrest him, right? Or like, you know, tie him up there and take him down to the basement? Or did he go and get the guys? I want to know what happened.
Jeez.
Did they get got?
In a specially made transparent Perspex cage. The rules state not even the officers can speak to him. He's requested cyanide, but the British authorities are too kind to let him die. He's described as gentle and kind with a genius-level IQ.
He is Hannibal Lecter, man.
Jeez.
They got him down there in the glass. No one can talk to him. No one can do anything. He's just down there. He's like, can I just cyanide? I'll take care of the rest. They're like, you just sit there. I wonder if it's like undocumented, but every now and then they let him out. And he goes and roams the hall for brains.
So now you know where the idea of Hannibal Lecter comes from.
Yeah, okay, so the book's about this dude? Holy crap.
If a predator ever finds himself in prison, he should know there are Robert Maudsleys around who can't wait to meet them. Prison has its own brutal justice, but does it go too far?
Does it go too far? What do the comments say? Let me see how the comments feel about it. I think most people probably feel like this comment right here. It's hard to feel sorry for anyone that preys on kids. When I hear stories about child molesters getting wrecked in prison, I usually shrug my shoulders and think, should have left the kids alone.
Yeah.
As someone with kids, I approve this message.
Someone said call it community service.
Community service. Oh.
Oh no.
I always appreciate it. Like whenever we're making videos, like we tend to try to fence rod as much, you know, because we don't, if you go too far to one side, then like somebody, like one group or somebody gets mad in the comments. But it always warms my heart to see the internet usually be pretty unanimous about like, yeah, that's what happens. What you get. Unless they're like unless they're like some of the YouTubers we watch, you know, they'll try to blur the line, age of consent and all that. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Today's your birthday. Happy birthday. So toast my friends. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Karma.